Alright guys, we're going to try and do something here. My friend Brian asked me to do a video and I'm posting this and I'm going to tag him in it, but it's not going to be what he wanted. He wanted me to get really drunk and tell everybody about how America truly is today, and I think he was drunk when he sent me the request. So instead of that, I'm going to touch up one of my wife's kitchen knives. Like I said before, I like to freehand sharpen. I don't like to use the Edge Pro as much. Robert Ballou. Any of y'all are race fans? Robert Ballou? Yeah, sprint car. At any rate, sorry. I like to freehand sharpen, and I don't do it the way a lot of other people do. I don't put the stone on the table and do it at the angle on the table. I actually take the stone, and it's one of my water stones. I've used it. It's a double-sided. I've worn it down. It used to be about the same thickness as this one, and I've just used it to the point where it's worn down. And I'll actually hold the stone in my hand, and I actually wind up a lot of times with a convex grind because the stone moves, the knife moves, and when I apex the edge, and it comes out and it stays nice and sharp and it's easy to strop, and I can touch up the wife's kitchen knife. So for the kitchen knives, the house, I use 3 stones. I use this when they're not bad. I use this just 1,000 grit Kai synthetic water stone. I have my grandfather's old oil stone. It's an Arkansas stone. It was old when he inherited it from his father-in-law. It's been broke off. I remember when I was a kid, it was probably about that long. It's been broke off, and if it gets a little coarse or anything, I've actually used a diamond lapping plate to reflatten this, and I can still smell his cigar smoke when he smoked when I was a kid, and he would have this in the living room. He didn't use oil; he just spit on it, and you could smell the tobacco smoke that would come out of it when you refinish the top, and it's just but it does an amazing job. And then I usually finish on Spyderco ceramic ultra fine, and something about the ultra fine is you get a mirror polished edge, but it's still so toothy and grabby, and it'll cut you like that. It'll just cut right into you without even thinking twice about it. So we're gonna try and do this. I'm not real good at this, doing stuff on camera. I can talk. My wife will tell you I can talk till my jaw hurts, but we're going to try this and see. I'm going to try and find a way where you guys can see. I got the water stone nice and wet. Now with synthetic water stones, you don't have to get them as wet. The natural ones, the natural ones, a lot of times you don't have to get as wet and let them sit. These synthetics they want to be wet and they want to soak. And I don't use a Nagiti stone to get a slurry on it. I let the slurry build up on the knife, and this one's not too bad, so it's not going to take too long. And so I find the angle. I usually do 10 strokes per side. And you will dish out your stones. You're going to have to, that's why they're so thin. But you want to make sure that you're going all the way from the base of the knife to the tip, and you're maintaining that same angle the whole way. And I've done it this way enough times, and for as many years as I can tell by the sound whether I've changed angle throughout the travel of the blade across, and I can tell when I've apexed it, because the sound changes when you form the burr on one side. The sound changes, and you can tell. And I don't even look anymore. I don't even watch. If you want to know the truth, it's probably dangerous, but. And then I count them down. So, you start with 10, and then I've worked my way to 5, and then 3, 4, down to 2, and then I'll do almost a stropping stroke, an edge trailing stroke, and then I'll set the stone off the side, and I'll wipe the edge, and I'll feel. I don't. A lot of times I don't actually form a burr on the final strokes, and stropping it, that final stropping stroke does do a lot. And I mean, but yeah, you see, this is why I make a mess. My wife gets upset. But a lot of times you're not forming that final burr if you've done it a lot and you know where you're at, you know where you can feel whether you're on that edge. But with that 1000 grit, and then I rinse it, and I'll check. I'll look at my edge and see where I'm at, and see if I've, I'm seeing if I'm missing any spots, and I'm looking for nicks. And I remember I talked about hard use of knives on my DOC. My wife's kitchen knives get some hard use. She is rough on knives. So these Fiberware that I've had for years and years and years, it's a testament, because she uses them, and she likes this one. I have some other kitchen knives that I inherited from a friend that passed away. He left them to us, left us with all his kitchen stuff. And they're a lot nicer knives. She likes this one. She likes this one because it's got she can cut all the way to the end here. So after I finish on that Waterstone, this natural Arkansas stone, does a really good in between the 1000 grit and the, there you hear it? There, now it smooths out. It does a really good job in between the synthetic Waterstone and the ceramic. So I'm using a synthetic Waterstone, a natural Arkansas stone, and a ceramic stone as my finishing stone, and then I'll strap it on a piece of newspaper, which I didn't grab, so you are going to have to bear with me when I go grab a piece of phone book paper to use. And I've got a couple strops that I do use, and I mean it's that quick. Touched it back up. We'll rinse it off. Grab me a paper towel here. I apologize, it's not the most, I don't have a photo booth or anything to do this in, or I'm not a videographer, so I've cleaned up all the little nicks that I noticed on it, and I'll basically just touch her up on these. I love these Spyderco ceramic stones. They're amazing. They are so super fine, and they cut so well. But you have to be careful. Every once in a while, you'll get one, and when you get them, you want to look down the sides. And I actually sent one back. You can see the saw cuts, or I don't know what it is, whether it's a wire that they use to cut the ceramic before they cure it. And you can see it. So one side of this one's actually, it's not 100% smooth, and I don't like the way it feels when the knife rolls across it. And it doesn't feel like it sharpens. So what I've done is I've marked which side is the side I'm going to use, and if you look, I can see my reflection in it. So it doesn't take a lot on this one. The nice thing about these is they won't dish out. They won't dish out, and just to clean them up, all you got to do is just a little bit of Comet on a green scrubby pad, and it will take all of that metal that starts to load the stone, and it just brings it right out. So they maintenance really well, and they hold up really well. So, and like I said, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe he's got that stone in the palm of his hand, and but you wind up with a convex that a lot of guys like Virtua Voice will talk about the merits of a convex. It's just the way I always learned. My grandfather taught me how to do this. My father did this. We used to butcher on the farm all the time. We used to hunt and butcher animals, and it's just the simplest. You're not going to have a table to put it on if you're out in the field and you're skinning a deer. So that's pretty much the end of that. I'm gonna go grab a piece. Just bear with me a second. I'm gonna go grab a piece of phone book paper that I forgot to grab. It's just, this is a little trick that I learned, kind of a bastardization of what Murray Carter does. He uses his newsprint. So I have a loaded strop. It's probably needing some cleanup on it, but it's loaded with the green titanium dioxide, and I'll do a little touch up on that before just to make sure that I've burnished that burr all the way off, and you can feel it. If there's any of that burr that's on there, you can feel it. So I'll just do a couple passes, and I go from heel to tip. When I strop, I go from heel to tip, heel to tip, and I do 2 on each side, and I'll do that a couple times, and then that's basically it. Once I've done that a couple times, I'll take a piece of phone book paper and I wrap it around the back of my strap on that wood, on the hard wood, not the leather side, and just make sure it's good and flat, and I'll do a couple passes on that just to touch it up, and then to test it, I'll just take my used, and I mean, I think I missed a little. There might be a little catch up the front. I mean, that's phone book paper. So you can hear my wife in the background. She's making a noise, yelling at dogs here. Not that I'm not getting paid to do this. So. Yeah, there's a little catch in the front, and I'll go back and touch that up. But just it's push cutting. She'll push cut phone book paper. And I mean, that's pretty fine. Let's see, can I, there's another little catch in there. Let me see, can I get started? I'm not, when it starts getting thin, it gets harder to get it started. So, basically that's the way I do, most of the fixed blade knives. I like doing them, I like doing fixed blades on a flat stone, freehand. And you can see you get a pretty, I went up with a pretty good even polished edge. And this knife, I had these knives for a while before I ever met my wife. So we've been married for 15 years. I've probably had these knives for 20 years. And yeah, touch them right back up. They're, like I said, they're not Elmax, they're like Elmax that Robbie doesn't like. It comes back up to a good edge pretty quick, but they're starting to get, you can see where they're starting to get a little bit thin. So there you go. That's my response to Brian's request for me to get his actual request for me to sit around and get shit-faced and tell America how it really is. I don't think you guys are ready for that yet. So we're gonna end it on that. You guys have a good weekend. Cheers. Take it easy.